Hello, welcome back to Solo Strategic Playthroughs. My name is Jeff. Today I am continuing my Gloomhaven 2nd Edition campaign. When last we left off, the Gloomaniacs had headed up into the mountains to find out more about this mysterious voice, really just trying to solve some issues in the puzzle book, find a good place where they could play a flute. But haven't found anything yet, so I'm going to be... I did find the voice, and I brought it one step closer to releasing it, and now might want to find out a little bit more before I actually let this thing escape from its prison. Who knows, we'll see, but I am going to be continuing that storyline. So let's jump right into things with the city phase. We kick things off, as usual, with the city event, where I saw some members of the demon cult roughing up somebody who had gotten in over his head. That certainly set some things off for Katie, who's had a bad experience being drawn into cults. So, yeah, we did not help the cult. We helped the person. Unsurprisingly, the cult's not thrilled about it. My demonic cult reputation has continued to go down. But hey, we did all get 5 XP for each character. Taking a look at the campaign tracker, you can see where we stand. I did gain another tick on the prosperity thanks to using a couple of the harder imbuements, so I got 2 checks there. Looking ahead, might take me a little bit longer on the Great Oak track, as I'm only donating twice this time. I'll explain that when I get to it. But otherwise, time to move along, and we have level ups, perks, all sorts of stuff for the characters. We'll start off with the relative veteran of this crew, Katie the Volrath Sunkeeper, who did level up to level 5, also got a set of check marks, so she's got 2 perks for the first one. I'm going to ignore scenario effects and add a +1 to her deck. And for her other perk, she does have one other special ability, which is to gain a bonus when she opens doors, shield, retaliate, but truth of the matter is, retaliating is somebody else's job. So for her, I decided just improve her attack modifier deck, remove a 0, put in a +2. Katie's level up card, I was looking at the level 5s, Arresting March or Path of Glory. Path of Glory, pretty nice, as kind of combines the other 2 attack effects where you can gain advantage. This one both muddles and pierces. But I decided to go with Arresting March. Really, this party has become a lot in service of to what is best for the Berserker. So being able to give Nilsa 3 movement, also on the bottom ability, the top ability is really nice to be able to, sure, the occasional throw in an attack with a stun, but then also able to throw up a heal. That seemed to be the best way to go for this particular team, so that's my choice. In terms of money, I could get her another small item now that she's level 5, but I think she's pretty good so far. She's not even using most of her items the way things are standing right now, so just going to donate to the Great Oak, and that'll be it for her. Last scenario, the Elementalist picked up the steel ring from the treasure chest, but not that useful, so especially since they're still level 4, cannot use a third one item, so this one I'm going to sell off for 7 gold, and then donate 10 to the Great Oak. Finally, we've got Nilsa Needheart, the Inox Berserker, and she did level up, and among that, she does get a perk. Now, in her case, you can see I am focused entirely on the perks that don't have to do with the attack modifier deck, because as a Retalizerker, she's not really using her attack modifier deck that much, so not a great huge ability, just an extra +1 healing when long resting, but better than any of my other options. Here I was looking at the level 4 cards, Unstoppable Destruction or Inner Fire. This one was a pretty easy choice, actually. Again, I don't know what the standard Retalizerker suite is just yet, though it seems more likely to be the first one. What I know for sure is multiple times last game, I found myself saying, boy, I really wish I had jump, because trying to maneuver around enemies to get into a more advantageous position has been difficult, not to mention she doesn't have a lot of high movement, so I would often find myself saying, hey, I wish I had more than 3 movement. Well, 2 in 1 here, 4 jump, not to mention the ability to heal herself. So, man, that's, I imagine, the main use I'll be using. I also really like the 26 initiative is still pretty quick, but lets me combine that with the retaliate while not going so fast that I'm not giving my allies a chance to buffer up before she goes. And the top ability may occasionally come into play. Very nice attack with the ability to do quite a bit more damage. For shopping, you can see her gold total has suddenly changed, gone from 8 to 33. That is because I was going to buy both of these cards, the recently available Steel Ring as well as a Stamina Potion. Nilsa doesn't have any small items yet. However, I really think, first of all, the armor is nice, but I didn't even have to use her ability where she gets knocked down to 1 and comes back last turn. I've got a lot of healing with my other 2 characters. The Stamina Potion would be very nice. I like getting back that card. It lets me move 3 and throw up 1 retaliate. But again, both of my other characters have cards to let me get level 1 cards back. So not as necessary. But what I really think the way to go is it's 60 gold to get +1 retaliate. Having another card that's a base 3 retaliate and a level 1 at that I can easily get back seems really good, seems worth saving up for. So I'm not going to donate to the Great Oak. I am breaking my vow of saying, hey, yeah, you want to get your prosperity up. Now at this point I want Nilsa to be as powerful as she can be, so I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to buy these items yet. I'll have my eye on them at some point, but for now I'll set them aside. I'm going to save up so that I can get that enhancement. Now it is time to hit the road and the water, as we are heading out to the Shrine of the Depths, where we decided not to rush into things, not to be too hasty, and just let this voice out and find whatever item it was looking for. We decided to get some information first. We talked to a sage in Gloomhaven who sent us out to the Shrine of the Depths to find out more. So we're going to do that. And truth be told, I would like to say that I made this as a story choice, but no, this is solo strategic playthroughs. This was a strategic choice, which is to say I also want to keep things moving along. So I had unlocked 2 scenarios. I had 2 choices. I looked at the flowchart, where that comes with 2nd edition, where you peel off the tabs, and I saw that it is much shorter if I go this way. There's just 1 more scenario after that, so I'm hopeful that that will be my quickest way to accomplishing what I really want to accomplish here, which is just to figure out what to do with that flute. So, that being the case, we are heading out, but before we got on the boat, before we got out there, of course, we did have a road event where we encountered an automaton. We had a couple of different choices, and I saw an option that could potentially get me money. That's the option I took, especially after my whole diatribe about trying to get that enhancement. It did work out. I got 10 collective gold, and all of that gold is being funneled over to Nilsa. So she's at 43 now, and yeah, I think I just have to loot 5 tokens to get her up to the 60, because spoiler alert, I am going to be doing scenario level 4. So yes, now that I've actually had an opportunity to listen to the text for the scenario, get a little bit more detail, probably good that we didn't just let this thing out. There was some binding ritual, some ancient god, bad sounding stuff. But there is a scepter that can seal the rift. That is why the Quattrel in Gloomhaven has sent us all the way out to this isle where we have shown up and are going to try and get the scepter, but of course there are monsters in our way. A bunch of slimes guarding the door. Didn't we just fight these guys? Well, we can fight them again. It'll be a little bit tougher this time around. There is a negative scenario effect here, so well, I would say glad that I took that perk, but to be honest, it was kind of intentional. Again, once you unlock a scenario, you actually can go ahead and look at the text. You're not spoiling anything. That is by design, so you can kind of get a feel for what you might need to do before you head out. In this case, I did know there was going to be a scenario effect, so took the opportunity to be able to prevent it. Well, for 2 of my characters anyway, Pinky also ignores scenario effects. Nilsa does not, but again, Don't really care too much about what goes into her attack modifier deck, so not a problem. Now, time to deal out battle goals and figure out which cards I'm bringing, which ones I'm leaving behind. All right, so going through the characters, Katie is going to be pedestrian this round. Good thing I didn't take the card that requires moving through things. Should not be too difficult to pull off. Not a lot of obstacles here. She doesn't have any jump, so don't really have to worry about that. In terms of the cards I'm bringing her, we'll start with the attack suite, of course. Daybreak, the new one, Arresting March, which is not an attack for her, but it is certainly an attack for somebody else. Mobilizing Axiom, Hammer Blow, Holy Strike. That is kind of my standard suite to make sure I have plenty of offense. And then on the other side is, of course, the healing, which is pretty much put in all of my healing cards, focus there. Cards that grant movement, also very helpful. That was kind of my one tactical order, which again, I don't know that I used it to grant movement last game, but I do like having the option. I think it's going to be a little bit more important. Looking at this map, there is a lot of water in the next room, so just that was kind of a consideration as well. I put in Lay Hands more for the move 4 than anything else, just to give myself a lot of flexibility. Also like the occasionally being able to go at the end of the round or close to it. So with that said, Katie is good to go. Next up, we've got Pinky, and here, again, some of my staples. Gravel Guard, like being able to move people around. Magma Scales for that big Retaliate at one point. Empowering Flame, and now a staple for offering Retaliate. Chain Lightning, my nice big level 4 attack, which maybe I burned pretty quickly last game. Maybe I'll actually get to use the healing a bit sometime. Malleable Evocation, I really like to be able to get the Safeguard and Ward into play. So those are the first 5 cards I definitely picked. Oh, and I didn't mention the battle goal, which is Duelist, an opportunity to get a couple check marks. Again, should be pretty easy. I just have to remember and pay attention. Usually Pinky not in the front lines anyway. Nilsa's taking care of that, so should be okay there. In terms of the other 5 cards I'm bringing, Encompassing Shadow, again, I do like having that flexibility of having a couple of options for cards that allow me to go faster than the Berserker's 14 for her typical 2-card combo. Dual Nature I decided to bring again. This one, choosing between the different cards that let me move 3 with elements out, felt like Frost probably going to be the most useful. The other option would have been the Fire. And, if an opportunity to use the healing comes in, great, but that's not the main purpose. Formless Power, I felt like I did not have enough attack ability last game. So let me make sure I have a good range attack, especially, again, with the Deep Terrors, knowing some of the stuff I'm going to have to deal with. I'm going to want a little bit more damage output, not rely on Nilsa to do everything. Shaping the Ether, I actually thought about taking out. I haven't really been using it as much as I was early on, especially not now that Nilsa's here. But again, thinking about the difficult terrain, I did want to move 4 to be able to help get through that. And finally, Flash of Brilliance, I really like for the utility. So that is Pinky's set. Finally, for Nilsa, her battle goal, pretty easy. Hunter, I have to kill an elite enemy. There's 3 elite enemies in the room to start with, so I think she'll be killing at least 1, if not all of them. As for her cards, so let's start, of course, with the whole Retaliate suite, Tireless Retribution, Numb the Pain, Resolute Stand, then also Unbridled Power. Again, that with Tireless Retribution is my main combo that I like to use. And Growing Range, which is just incredibly good. So, yeah, definitely want to include that from here on out. For the other cards, from the Brink, I really like the move 3 pull for positioning, getting enemies where I want. And then, the top ability is just a nice way to grab some easy XP at the end of the scenario. Of course, Unstoppable Destruction, obviously going to put that card in first time around. Glass Hammer, I included for the 3 jump on the bottom. I didn't realize I did have another jump card. I forgot about this one. So just more flexibility of movement. Again, it's going to be difficult once I get in that room, which is going to have, as far as I can tell, water everywhere. And finally, I actually considered maybe not bringing into the fight, looking at some of the options, but it's a level 2, it's good utility, so I will keep it in the mix. So here we are, ready to start round 1. You can see in the starting room, we've got 3 elite oozes, not positioned so great in terms of trying to get all 3 of them to attack Nilsa. That's probably a good thing. She's going to take a lot of damage. They're all going to be dealing poison. Should be able to kill a couple of them unless they do that annoying push thing. We'll have to see, but my plan, certainly, as usual, I'll have the Elementalist go first. Pinky can generate Frost at the beginning of the round before their turn using their perk, which I can then use to give Retaliate. And then I'll have Nilsa charge in, getting up to 6 Retaliate, taunting, probably taking some damage, but we'll have a little bit of shields from it. And then Katie coming in to fire off an attack and draw the fire of one of the oozes. I could set things up. I could have Katie go on 90, and then all 3 oozes would target Nilsa, which probably at ranged, but would be 2 retaliate. But I think for just 2 damage, I have all this equipment, all this gear on Sunkeeper that I never use, so sure, let her take an attack. So going over to X-Haven, you can see, going fast, 10, 14, and 23 for me. For the oozes, they are going to be doing nothing special, just moving to attacking at range 3. So we'll kick things off with Pinky, who will use Gravel Guard to grant 2 movement to Nilsa, and then that will go ahead and generate Earth. I'll then use Empowering Flame to move 3, just to get over here in position. Again, I don't have to worry about getting attacked by that guy, since I do have the Fleabitten Shawl. This was a very good call on this item, so that will make sure that Pinky is not the target. I just want to get closer to the door, closer to the loot, and then I will go ahead and use the Frost, which I generated at the beginning of the round with their perk, and that will give 2 Retaliate to Nilsa and regenerate the Frost. Next up is the Berserker, who will just needs to move 1 to get into position here, and then can go ahead and throw up a bunch of Retaliate, 3 from the top card from Tireless Retribution, 1 from the bottom. So 4 Retaliate plus the 2 already is 6 Retaliate. I will then go ahead and use my Taunt ability to have, and that is this guy, to go ahead and have all adjacent enemies attack. And this will be a 4 attack with poison at disadvantage against 1 shield. So first attack, actually, wait, always forget. Before I do that, let us remember the brain in spirit, as we will give the gift of Zorn, giving the gift of poison to all 3 enemies, only marking 1 because that's the only one that's really going to matter, and cursing them as well. So I'll shuffle 3 curses into the deck, and then I will go ahead and use my amulet to heal the poison off of Nilsa. Actually, you know, I might as well hold on to the amulet, because I'm going to get poisoned anyway. So it would just be saving me 1 damage. Yeah. Don't need to use it yet. I'll hold on to the amulet. All right, so now we are ready to do the attacks. So we'll start with the middle guy first, and that is either going to be a +1 or a 0. So I will use the chainmail first use to prevent for 1 shield, plus the 1 shield I got from the Gravel Guard. So just going to be 2 damage and poisoned. And that guy will take 6 Retaliate, and then I will have the other 1 attack. So with the poison, this is going to be a 5 attack against 2 shields, either a 0 or a -1. So the -1, so that is 2 more damage. Nilsa will gain 2 XP. That'll do it for her turn. Finally, we have Katie, who is going to get right in the thick of things, using Lay Hands to just move 1, 2. That is going to make sure, yeah, that's going to make sure that the ooze attacks at disadvantage as I've got it cornered, and it's only got 2 movement. I will then be able to do a 4 attack with Mobilizing Axiom. With the poison is going to be a 5 attack. So here we go. Hopefully not a miss. I've got a lot of cards in here and only 1 miss, and that ain't it. All right, well, that is going to generate light, which means that was the element I was going to generate, but now I can do something different. Wind, perhaps. I'll have to think about what I'm going to do next turn and what might be most useful. But that is going to be 5 damage against the shield, so 4 damage to the ooze. So I think in this case, given what I'm planning on doing next turn, most useful here is going to be dark. So that will do it for that. Oh, and of course, Katie will also bless herself, and then we can move on to the oozes. For the oozes, going in order, first the one up top will attack Katie. Again, with only got 2 movement, so cannot gain advantage, cannot get to the position, so we'll just stay where it is, and will attack. This will be a 4 attack at disadvantage. Well, there's the miss. And poison, so of course we will take the curse. Katie is, however, poisoned. Next up will be this ooze, which will attack Nilsa. Again, even though they went earlier, Pinky did, the flea-bitten shawl makes them not the target. So here we go. Either a +1 or a ×2. All right, well, they were going to do something eventually. That is going to be 5 plus the poison, so 6 damage. This will be the last use of the chainmail. Still has the other shield, so that'll end up 4 damage. But on the plus side, that is going to kill the ooze as it takes 6 more retaliate damage. Oh, we're getting close. That is 18 of 20 on the mastery goal. Let's make it 19 of 20 as the other ooze will now attack, and that will either be a +1 or a 0. So it is going to be a 5 attack, and in this case I've only got 1 shield as I've used up the chainmail, so another 4 damage, has taken out another enemy. Alright, well, we'll get her healed up some next turn. On to round 2, where we're going to start healing up the Berserker. Katie's going to be able to fire off an attack. We'll get our super good heal card into play. Maybe I could wait and do it later, but now's as good a time as any. And then we will go ahead and have more healing doled out by the Elementalist. So just need to see when this one ooze is going. And I gotta say, would not be upset if it split this turn. One thing I will not have to worry about is going before the oozes, as I am fast, they're slow, and Plasma Ward not splitting. That is unfortunate. We'll kick things off with Nilsa, who I don't really want to get poisoned again, and I had other plans, so I'm just going to go here. Also don't want to be the target of the attack when I don't have Retaliate up, so she'll be able to loot. She will then heal herself, which will remove her poison, and then she'll put Growing Rage into play. Next up, Katie's going to go ahead and use Daybreak to attack the ooze, consuming the dark. So this will be a 4 attack that will muddle and generate light. 4 attack incoming is going to be a +1, so, and the poison, so that's a 6 against the shield, is going to knock the ooze down to 3. And I just realized that this very annoying ooze is going to attack Nilsa. What can you do? Let's heal her up a bit first. I will use Righteous Strength to go ahead and heal Nilsa. I will also consume the light, which will then, these should actually be waning, but I'll consume the light, which will then regenerate at the end of the turn, and that is going to allow me to add an extra target. So I'm going to go ahead and target Pinky, the Elementalist, who is already at full health, but that will kick into play Shielding Light, the perk which, when healing somebody over full, is going to then put up a ward. Pinky's up next with Malleable Evocation, and even though it's going to make me get poisoned, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to move up here so that Pinky can pick up the loot. That will also generate Frost, which at the end of the turn, because I am going to use the Frost with Malleable Evocation along with the Earth. Since I'm using 2 elements, I can do 2 targets. I will heal both my allies for 2, giving them Ward and Safeguard. Now the ooze is up, and so annoying, it is going to push everyone away and poison them, and then it is going to do an attack, and that attack is going to be against Nilsa, who is the lowest initiative. So it'll be a 5 attack. At least she's not poisoned anymore, and she is warded, so muddled. So this attack is at disadvantage. Hey, maybe it'll be a miss, either a +2 or a 0. Okay, so be 5 damage. The ward will reduce it to 2, and the safeguard will eat the poison. That is going to be it for round 2, and then I'll get ready to take out that ooze, and then potentially move right into the door. We'll have to see. Round 3, and I am going to let the Elementalist go to work and attempt to take out the ooze using Formless Power. And then I've just kind of biding my time. I actually am planning on opening the door this turn, just not charging into it. It's a big room. I want to get an idea of what's going on there so I can make my best plans next turn. And then, last but not least, I will have Katie go and do some healing, some card recovery, and some buffing. Crew's going pretty slow this round, but 23 for Pinky should be good enough. The ooze is just doing a calculated strike, so hopefully we can take them out first. So, first up, Pinky will go for the kill, consuming the frost to do a 3 attack with the poison. That will be a 4 attack. And that is going to be +2, more than enough. And as I go ahead and use Chain Lightning to heal Nilsa for 4, I'm realizing I did not optimize this because I am pushing the sun to strong now, or the light, and then it is just going to get used up. So that is too bad, but I still have both my potions, plenty of other stuff that Katie can do. It's an interesting situation now that Nilsa is up. In terms of which ability, I was thinking of doing it the other way around, especially if the ooze had survived. The question is, can I use the bottom part of Into the Fight to generate fire if I'm not next to an enemy to stun? And the answer is, I don't know. I mean, I know that usually you have to be able to attack to do the element generation, but that's usually not the notation on the card, right? It would show the attack first, then it would show the element generation after as just a symbol. So I'm really not sure, but I'll just keep it simple. I will do Glass Hammer for my movement instead, giving myself movement with 3 jump. Also the possibility, depending on what the enemies are doing, where they're located, maybe I throw off an attack. We'll see, but first point of movement is going to be used to open the door. Well, I certainly have my work cut out for me this game, and yeah, well, it should be very interesting. So my ultimate goal, of course, is to get that scepter, which is in here, surrounded by, I guess it's like up on a platform. I have to go up these stairs, or I can jump. But I cannot loot it until I have killed all 6 of the deep terrors. Here, 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 and here. And, of course, I'm going to have to deal with the lurkers. And every 6 rounds, we're starting with the round counter on 1, and then when it gets to round 6, a couple of oozes will summon. A normal here, an elite here, so a lot of stuff I'm going to have to deal with. Well, let's see what the enemies are doing. I still have 2 more movement and potentially attack, though I don't think I want to run into that room. So, yeah, as soon as Nilsa's done, the Lurker soldiers are going to be moving 3, which means right up to the doorway for one of them. At least they're affected by the water, too. So, and then, yeah, so I'll just back out of the door. I won't have to worry about that. Well, this ooze is dead, so I do not have to worry about that. The Deep Terrors, Rooted Fear, are attacking at ranged 5. So that means I think I probably cannot grab the loot I was planning to this turn. I need to get out of their range. Yeah, so my original plan was to have Nilsa end her movement here. The problem with that is pretty sure that is still within range of this guy, because you're talking about going from this corner out to here. This place would also be threatened. So So I think the only safe place for me to go is just to pull back here. And with one more movement and maybe get the loot later, that'll be it for Nilsa's turn. No attack, but safely out of range, out of line of sight of the Deep Terrors, and now some of the enemies will go. All right, it's nothing special for the Lurker soldiers who are just moving 3. This guy who's got the blue base, he's just a normal elite. I ran out of yellow bases. So we need to kill some enemies, so I don't have to deal with that. But this guy will move first, going 1, 2, 3. I guess you could also go here. Same difference. Then this guy will go next, going 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2 is as far as he can go. Then for the non-elites, this one first, going 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. It's going to be very interesting next turn, trying to figure out how to approach this. We shall see, but that is going to do it for the enemies. And I should say that is going to do it for the Lurkers, because the Deep Terrors are going to go, they're going to go after Katie, so gonna have to keep her where she is as well. Might have considered switching things around, charging in, but no, instead I'm going to keep my original plan. I am just going to bless myself and then do Soothing Light to heal Nilsa and let her get a card back. And it should come as no surprise that that card is going to be Unbridled Power. We'll say now the one other thing I'm considering doing on Katie's turn is using her major element potion to generate a couple of elements, so that if I want to do a nice attack with the Elementalist next turn. So what I'm going to do is, the only other thing that's going to happen this turn is the Deep Terrors are going to go. They can't hit anybody, so really not doing anything. So that means that I can kind of go ahead, plan out what I want to do next turn, and so in the process of choosing what cards I'm going to do, I will then decide whether or not I wanted to use the potion. So again, I would be using the potion now during Katie's turn so that I have flexibility next turn. So round 4, and going to the round, a couple of things. First, I've decided not to use the element potion. As you can see, not going to need it this round. I'll hold on to it for the future. One other correction, you'll see I did, having edited some of the videos so far, I did catch early on when the Berserker should have taken an extra damage, so I've lowered her from 14 to 13. Got that clear. So now let's get on with it. Kind of looking at the situation, thought, well, I have a couple ways to go here. I could let the enemies come to hit me, kind of slow play it, and not take attacks from Deep Terrors, but that is not the style of this crew, especially not with Nilsa, who wants to get in there. So that is what I'm going to do. Also, even though the Pierce not going to be, with Pierce from the enemies, not going to be quite as useful, I am going to go ahead and burn a lost card from Pinky to give Retaliate and Shielding. Hopefully a shield will at least protect from the Deep Terror attack, as Nilsa is going to be going pretty far into the room. My goal to get her down over here with the help of some movement from the Sunkeeper, who should also be able to get in position to attack an enemy. So we'll get up Retaliate, have a bunch of enemies attack, and see how it goes. And just to make sure I can do everything in the order I want to, I've got Pinky going first on 14, then 22, 24. That should have everything work out for me, depending on what the enemies do. So let's see. Okay, so the Lurker soldiers doing a hasty assault, and not attacking for very much, just 2 or 3 from the elites. Deep Terrors doing a couple of attacks, but hey, that means that I will be able to do extra retaliate damage. Also only range 4. That is good news. Okay, so let's get to it. Big Key will kick things off, and I will burn Magma Scales to give Nilsa 2 shields and to retaliate, also generating Earth and Fire. And then I will go ahead and do Flash of Brilliance. In this case, I'm actually going to target Katie. I will generate Light there, and I will let her get back just to make sure she's got an attack card for next turn, and fast initiative at that. Go ahead and get Daybreak back. So now Katie's up, and she is going to use Arresting March to move 4. I actually need to move 5 to get where I want to be, since I do not want to fail my battle goal and move through one of my allies. So I will go ahead and use the Heavy Greaves, which also can be useful to be able to muddle nearby enemies, as I will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up there and go ahead and muddle the Deep Terror. Then using the bottom part, I can grant an ally within 3 movement. So that is going to be Nilsa, who can go 1, just 2, but that will be enough. Drop off Nilsa there, and now I can go ahead and do the Holy Strike, consuming the light, so that this attack is +1 and with advantage. Right, so it would be a 4 attack on the Terror, who has 9 health, so I'm actually going to go ahead and use my black card now, put a mark on it, so this will be a 5 attack, which means if I manage to draw one of my blesses, and I've got a few in the deck now, then I would actually be able to take it out in one shot. So here we go. 5 attack is either going to be -1 and retrieve a card, or ×2. All right, well, I was thinking Bless, but yeah, I've also got that ability. Obviously, in that case, I will go ahead and take the ×2 for 10 damage, which also means I'm not going to take any retaliate damage. And that will be the end of Katie's turn. She will also gain an XP. Now Nilsa's up, and she is going to do what she does best, which is get enemies angry at her and retaliate. So I am going to... She's got a 3 move, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3... And then it's a question of which of these 2 enemies do I want to come after me. I can pull either one of them towards me. So in this case, I want to get in as much retaliate as possible, since I am at retaliate 4, or at least I'm going to be once I fire that up. So I will go ahead and pull this guy towards me, even though it means, well, then I'll be completely surrounded. But that's really just the way she likes it. So that is going to do it for From the Brink, and then I will go ahead and throw up to retaliate. I am not going to consume the fire. I want to keep that around so that the Elementalist can use it next turn. So, that being the case, I've got my 4 retaliate. Now it's time to go ahead and taunt and bring in the attacks against my retaliate 4. So I will go ahead and have the non-elite lurker attack first. Unfortunately, no disadvantage here, just a straight up attack. So the base is going to be 3, and +1 is going to be 4 damage, which Nilsa will have to take, but she will then heal 1. She'll also gain an XP, which I've already gone ahead and given her. And now we'll go ahead. The elite will attack. This will be a 4 attack, and so a 5 and a curse. Again, don't really mind the curses too much. The 5 is going to drop her down to 5, but then she'll heal 2 back up to 7. Finally, we've got the Deep Terror, who is going to do a 3 attack. And again, I'm just using its base attack value, not the modified version of whatever they're doing this turn. That'll come later. But a 3 attack, and it is a melee attack, so straight up is going to be 4 damage, which will knock me down to 3. And actually, nope, in this case, I do have the shields. So the 2 shields do apply, so 2 damage will knock me down to 5, then back up to 7. It is getting a bit dicey here, so I think I will end the turn by go ahead and use the Amulet of Life to give me 1 more life, a little bit more survivability. So now the lurkers are up. The elite will go first. With a hasty assault, doesn't need to move. It will then go ahead, and it'll be a 3 attack. It's looking for 2 targets. It cannot get 2 targets, so it'll stay right here in front of Nilsa. 3 attack with the pierce, so no shields. Is another +1, so that's 4 damage, down to 4, back up to 6. Now the other lurker, just a 2 attack, and that one, I was going to say, it's got to be something other than a +1. Yeah, let's make it even worse, a +2. 2, so that's going to be 4 more damage. Again, ping-ponging down to 2, back up to 4. He'll take 4 retaliate damage and deal out a muddle. And I actually just realized, technically, I do need to move these other ones first. So 1, 2, 3. He won't move because he can't get any closer. So like this one will go 1, 2, 3, 4. That will get a little bit closer. And I think, yeah, actually this guy will stop here because moving here doesn't get him any closer to his target. Then these guys would go, so let me just move this guy up. And here comes another attack. Getting a bit dicey. Here we go. Oh god, a +3. So yeah, that is going to be 6 damage, and that is going to take Nilsa out, but she is going to get to activate an ability. Alright, so for the first time here, we will use just a scratch, which means that instead of killing her, it's just going to knock her down to 1, and that she will get to do a 2 attack back. Unfortunately, it'll be at disadvantage. Alright, well, Nilsa, let's see what you've got. Either going to be a 0 or a -1, so just 1 damage. Though she will then be able to retaliate. So that'll bring it down to 5, and she will heal twice. Oh boy, well, that'll do it for the Lurker soldiers. Now the Deep Terrors are up, doing a Burning Gaze. Fortunately, Katie doesn't have to worry about that. She took hers out, and this one is down to 3 health. So it's only going to do the first attack. It is going to be a 2 attack against 2 shields. Thank God those come into play. And okay, so in this case, no damage, which also means that Nilsa is going to heal back up to 5. And then the retaliate damage will be enough to take this guy off the board. And alright, well, that was a rough run of cards from the combat deck, but we weathered the storm. Unfortunately, the storm has not stopped. There are a lot of enemies coming in next turn, so we will have to figure out a plan for that. And one other thing, just before we move on, I did mean during the Sunkeeper's turn to go ahead and play the Major Element Potion, since Elementalist only had 2 cards. I knew exactly what they're playing, so generating Frost and Night. So for round 5, the plan here is to get the Elementalist into the fray, do some damage, spread some poison, wound, immobilize to potentially prevent enemies from attacking. Then shortly thereafter, Nilsa, no retaliating this turn, don't have any available. I guess I could retaliate for 1, but more likely I am going to fire off an attack and do some healing for her, kind of move her to safety, because she's going to need to take a long rest after this. And then the Sunkeeper will also charge into the fray and do some more damage. We will fortunately be able to see what the enemies are doing before I kind of have to decide where I want to position everybody. So let's do that right now. 12, 14, and 17 for us, and for the Lurkers, not till 41. Looking to use that Frost, which I am already going to have used. And then Deep Terror, a Beam of Annihilation, targeting things up to 5 away, but in a straight line. So yeah, I should have no problem avoiding any attacks from them this turn. Pinky's up first. I'm going to use Encompassing Shadows to move 1, 2, just into the door frame, which will allow me to get in range of these 2 enemies. I'm thinking Nilsa can probably take out that one there. I am aware, too, of her ability, the other part of this ability, where adjacent allies will be attacked at disadvantage, so I plan on moving the Sunkeeper down next to her. So, position there, I will then use Shaping the Ether using these 3 elements. Going to be Fire, Earth, and Frost. So I'll be able to get 2 targets, and I will go for these 2. So, first the attack against the Elite. This will be a 2 attack, and it is going to be still just 2 damage, but I will be able to generate either Fire or Wind. Probably Fire, but I'll double check. Well, it could be Fire, but since I am planning on playing Chain Lightning next turn, there's going to be a lot of good targets. That being the case, I will go ahead and generate Wind. Now the attack against the non-elite, which is also at 5 health, is going to be 2 times 2. Well, that's pretty good, although that one's immobilized, so I wasn't too worried about that anyway, but now it's definitely going to die, as it's going to take 4 damage, knocking it down to 1. Next up is Nilsa, who's still at disadvantage, but I will have her use Unbridled Power to do a 3 attack against, we'll go against the one that's down to 2. And so with the poison, that'll be a base 4, just need to not miss, so either a -1 or a +1, it'll be a -1, that's enough to take that enemy out. Now with 4 movement and jump, I should probably start heading towards the other side of the room, but we've got time. I don't want to leave any loot behind, so 1, 2, 3, we'll jump up over here. Loot that. I do have to make sure she gets enough that she can buy enhancement, and at least since we're up on difficulty, each coin is worth 4. So, well on our way towards getting to the 60 we need. It'd be nice to have some extra too, but either way, that is... Oh, she's also going to heal herself too, and that'll be the end of Nilsa's turn. Finally, we've got Katie, and how very convenient that a spot has opened up. She will charge in, and she will see if she can finish off the elite, consuming the knight here to give it +1, poison another +1, so overkill, but it will generate light, which very handy to go with the wind I've already got. This is going to be a 5 attack straight up. Once again, just anything but a miss will do the trick, and yeah, that's, I mean, it's not bad because I can actually get an attack back. Yeah, so -1, so that's 4, that's enough to kill it, and no reason to have Pinky get a card back. They have no cards in hand, going to do a short rest, but Katie can definitely get something useful back. And in her case, I will go for Hammer Blow, giving myself a good attack. Now the enemies are up, starting with the Lurker Soldiers, and turn order definitely matters here, so we'll start with the lower elite, which is able to move 1, 2, 3, and get right up in Katie's face and attack. Thanks to Encompassing Shadow, this will be a disadvantage. It will be a 3 attack, so either a +1 or a miss. So there you go. That would wound Katie, but she has still had Safeguard up, so the Safeguard will take care of that. Now the other elite will go moving 1, 2, 3 to get as close as possible, and then the non-elite will go and succumb to its wounds. Finally, the Deep Terrors with their Beam of Annihilation. This guy can fire all the way down to here, but that's it. Otherwise, the others are way too far away, and yeah, that turn actually went really well, better than I expected. No complaints here. Pinky will take a short rest, and we'll lose Dual Nature. Alright, so for round 6, not the optimal opportunity for Chain Lightning. I thought I'd have more enemies to attack, but still a very good opportunity. I've got these 2 elites, both at 13 health, so I'm not going to be able to do it to anybody else. This is the only time I'm going to probably be able to get 2 enemies because of the way the others are spread out, and they're likely not moving. So yeah, we'll go ahead with a double-powered Chain Lightning, but before that happens, Katie will be able to go first, attack the enemy that's right in front of her, and then also using the sun, but then also regenerating it so that it's available for the Elementalist, and Nilsa will be taking a long rest. Moving over to X-Haven, we've got these soldiers hardened by frost. Fortunately, also going on 23, but after us, a 3 attack, 3 shields, that doesn't really matter. It's happening after we attack, and generating frost, which is certainly helpful. Another Beam of Annihilation for the Deep Terrors, so that's good. We don't have to worry about the only one that's anywhere nearby, and we can jump into it. First up is Katie, and she will be going for a Hammer Blow against the elite. I'll consume the light to make this a 4 attack, give her advantage, and here we go. Either a +1 and a heal, or a +1 and a heal. I guess it's +1 and a heal. We'll go ahead and heal Nilsa, since, yeah, there's no reason to heal the Elementalist, who already has the Safeguard, so throw the heal on Nilsa, and that will be 5 damage to the elite. And not that the muddling really matters, because she's going to do Engulfing Radiance to regenerate light, and that will also ensure that the other one is attacking at disadvantage as well. Now Pinky's up, and they will be going ahead with the Chain Lightning. Base 4 attack. I will consume both the Wind and the Sun to bump that up. So the first one will be a 6 attack, the second one a 5. I think I'm actually going to target this one first, since this one's already down to 8. So that will also generate 2 XP, and here we go. First attack is base 6, and I'm going to generate Frost or Wind. Well, definitely don't need to generate Frost. That's already happening. So we'll generate Wind and then deal 6 damage. Now 5 attack on the other one is +1, so 6 damage to that, knocking it down to 2. Now, originally my plan was to just get out of here and get this loot here, since lurkers like to attack multiple enemies. That said, once I vacate this spot, it would open it up for one of the lurkers to come over and attack Nilsa. I don't really want that to happen. So, not to mention, Pinky rarely taking hits, at full health, has a ward, so they will move 1, 2, 3 right into the thick of things, but also allowing them to get some loot and absorbing an attack. And, of course, all attacks will be at disadvantage, so that's good. Now the soldiers, hardened by Frost, starting with the lurker here. So it is going to be a 3 attack at disadvantage. It will target the Sunkeeper first. I guess I could target either one first, but sure. We'll do Sunkeeper first, either a 0 or 0 in poison. So it is a 0. Unfortunately, I do have to use my chainmail here. Don't have to use the tower shield. So I give myself a shield that doesn't do me any good because of the pierce. 3 damage, but the ward is going to knock that down to 1 damage. Then the attack against Pinky is going to be either ×2 or 0. So just 3 damage. Again, ward knocks it down to 1. And the other one will circle around where it can target them both. Again, going against... first against Katie, either a +1 or +1, so that'll be 4 damage. Again, using up the chainmail one more time, and then against Pinky is going to be 3 damage. Now, for Nilsa's long rest, she will actually heal 3 back thanks to her perk. She gets that extra one, and even though I'm losing the jump, this is a pretty navigable board, and she's still got the 4 movement with jump, so I will lose Glass Hammer. Last but not least, I will have Katie take a short rest, and it would not be my first choice to lose Hammer Blow, but I don't want to risk losing one of my more valuable cards. Round 7, and I put myself in an interesting and weird situation here, where, as things stand right now, both the Elementalist and the Sunkeeper can't really move, not if they don't want to fail their battle goals. The Elementalist cannot move away from an enemy, and Sunkeeper cannot move through anybody. However, so just having to work around that constraint, I've ultimately come up with, I'm going to have the Elementalist go first and part the Red Seas, move the enemies out of the way. I'll be able to do Shaping the Aether. I do have Frost and Wind available to get that push in. And then... I'm actually going to have the other 2 go on their slow initiatives, 63 and 78, so I can just start doing some tactical movement, getting people into position, and getting up. Going to actually be able to get off an attack and even retaliate if I want on that guy up there. We'll see what he's doing. I think really, once I decided I was probably going to use Into the Fight for the top, the hardest thing was just figuring out which bottom card I was going to use. Ultimately went with this one. I kind of want to save the other ones for later. Being able to pull these Deep Terrors, move them around, I think is really beneficial. So I didn't want to use up that movement card just yet. Save that for later. And this one, maybe 1 retaliate damage is enough to make a difference that I decide to go ahead and let the enemy attack. Over in X-Haven, I've got everything queued up. Again, I think might as well have Katie go slow. She needs to go before Nilsa, but she's not going to be near any enemies, so I'm not too worried about that. I'd rather let the Deep Terrors go first, hopefully, and then be able to react after. But let's find out as we go ahead and draw. Yeah, okay, so nothing special from the Lurker Soldiers on 38. An Array of Hate on 54 for the Deep Terrors. Fortunately, that is going before any of my people. Range 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're not going to be able to attack anybody, so that worked out well. Once again, Pinky's up first, and I'm going to go ahead and create... I could do the attack first to allow myself to be able to move, but I think the extra damage is better, so I'm going to generate a fire trap right over here, and I don't have any fire to consume, so unfortunately can't do the second part, but then I'll go ahead, shaping the Aether, using the Wind and the Frost to attack both enemies. So we'll start with the attack on the Elite first. Just going to be a 2-DAC, but with 3 push and immobilize. And, okay, so just the 2 damage. I will be able to generate fire or earth. Yeah, I think I will go ahead and generate fire, technically at the end of the turn. But I think in this case I have to decide now. I know with Wild you actually don't have to pick the element until the end of the turn. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead, push this guy into the trap, so he'll take 2 more damage for a total of 4 damage. And you know what? It's actually a push 3, so sure, why not? I'll push him all the way back here, just kind of keep him out of the action for a while. Now the attack on the other one, again, a 2 attack. Good enough, that will kill it. Next up, the Lurker Soldier, the one left, doing nothing special, and he's immobilized, so he's done. Deep Terrors are next, and with the Ray of Hate, nobody's adjacent, and Pinky just out of range of the attack, so they are done. Katie's up next, and though I should probably use the 4 movement to get closer, I just can't allow myself to give up this loot. So I'm just going to move here, collect the loot with move 1, and then I can use Tactical Order to go ahead and give Nilsa 4 movement, 1, 2, 3, 4, and... yeah, I mean, I could do that in either order before I move, but that's going to do it for Katie. I think what I'm going to do with Nilsa is go for maximum damage. I don't know that I really want to push this Deep Terror away. I kind of want to keep it within range where I can take it out. One of my... maybe have Pinky take it out with a ranged attack. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move 2 to get a little bit closer to it. This way I don't have to worry about taking any retaliate damage. She likes a dish. She doesn't necessarily want to take retaliate damage. So now I can consume the fire that was just generated to allow the Unbridled Power attack to be 2 spaces away. And +1, so this will be a 4 attack against the Deep Terror. Going to be... -1, so 3 damage, then I could push it. I'm also aware that next round oozes are going to spawn. I do think I want to keep the Deep Terror right where it is. I'll do it for the round. We will get ready for the arrival of the oozes, and just plan on continue moving further in, taking enemies out. Right, this might not be the wisest decision, but when did Nilsa ever make wise decisions? She makes the bloodthirsty decision, and that is getting into the thick of things and making sure she can get to retaliating. Going to have Pinky lead off, generating light, moving up, kind of away from the enemies, up off out of the frame there. And then the Sunkeeper will go next on 22. She would be able to grant movement to Nilsa to help Nilsa get ready to get in position, and also using the light should be able to take out the Deep Terror over here. And then Nilsa's turn should be able to get over here and attack both those enemies, or I should say make them attack her. That is going to kind of put her within range of another enemy just out of sight up here, but she can take it. Here we go, going pretty fast, hopefully fast enough, should be. Yeah, Lurker Soldiers on 28. Oozes are feeding, okay. Well, I mean, that's kind of good, but if they're not attacking, then I don't get to do any retaliate. Deep Terror, disarming, not worried about that. And a range 3 attack. I think I'll actually be able to avoid that. All right, not too bad. Pinky's up first. They'll start by using Flash of Brilliance to generate light. And then I will allow Nilsa to go ahead and get a card back. And that is going to be Unbridled Power. For movement, tempting as it is to stick around and get the loot, I do need to move up. I cannot move here because that would block off the path for the Sunkeeper. So I think what probably my best bet is to just go over here, and that'll be it for Pinky's turn. Although the one other thing, I am going to use the Major Element Potion now to set myself up for next turn. I'm going to be generating Frost and Fire. Katie's up next, and she will once again use a Resting March to help out her allies, going 1, 2, 3, 4, then granting 3 movement to Nilsa, who can go 1, 2, and that's it. I can't move on to here, but it doesn't really matter. She's where she needs to be. Now I can go ahead and do the Hammer Blow using the Sun to go ahead and attack with advantage for 4 against the 4 health of the Deep Terror. Should be good enough. Would be very nice to generate an element here. Could I be so lucky? Let's see. Either a ×2 for 8 damage or ×2. Well, that was not lucky. That was overkill to the extreme, but I do at least get to kill that. That's an XP for Katie, and now, well, for better or for worse, Nilsa gets to do her thing. She will once again be using that super movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 2 heal. She'll give herself 3 retaliate, and then come get some. She will have both enemies attack her. This is not going to be small. We will start with the Lurker, who is going to attack for 5 at disadvantage. So here we go. It is either going to be a +1 or a +1. So 6 damage, knocking her down to 7. She'll then heal 2, back up to 9. Then the attack incoming from the Ooze is a 4 attack, which is just going to be 4 damage. So that'll knock her down to 5, back up to 7, and she will be poisoned. Actually, no, that'll knock her down to 5. She'll be poisoned, then back up to 6. As the first heal will get rid of the poison, the second heal will bring her up. And I forgot about the feed, so maybe not the best idea to retaliate. This one doesn't need to move. It's where it wants to be. Nothing to loot. It will, however, heal 2. And then the one up here will just come down 1. And that's it for them. Okay, one quick thing with Nilsa before we do the Deep Terror is I forgot she actually did get her chainmail back after taking a long rest, so that would have fired off both attacks. Neither of these enemies have pierce, so she should be at 8 instead of 6, having prevented 1 from each attack. Now, the Deep Terror will go ahead and attack 2. Chainmail will be used again if this is a hit, so a 3 attack at disadvantage is going to be 3 reduced to 2, which is going to knock her down to 6, and then she'll heal right back up to 8. That's 3 retaliate damage to the Deep Terror, who's down to 3, and wouldn't you know it, is now going to attack again. This will be a 4 attack at disadvantage. Wow, a lot of zeros in a row, and a miss. Holy cow. Okay, well, that was unexpected. So Nilsa, in this case, will heal from 8 up to 9, and retaliate, kill this guy. And yeah, that worked out really well. So kind of a waste with the Ooze only got 1 damage in there, but I did end up getting to take in 3 attacks, dealing 9 retaliate damage, taking out that guy. And you know what? I realize I forgot about the Lurker Soldier, who does need to go, and also would be able to attack Pinky. So I think what I'm going to do, just kind of backtracking, is I'm going to let Sunkeeper fail her battle goal. I am going to move Pinky out of here so that she's out of the line of fire, and then we'll go ahead and do the Lurker, which will just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Really, at this point, perks much less important than surviving and loot and other things like that. Round 9, and I'm going to start to get tricksy as I am going to deal with that guy up on the stairs. How fortunate, there's a trap right next to him that I can pull him into. But first, Sunkeeper will be leading things off, doing a mass heal, a mass movement, letting us mobilize, get everyone into position. Then the Elementalist will be able to grant retaliate and also potentially fire off an attack. And finally, going last among those on 24 will be Nilsa, I should say, among my characters, who will get all the retaliate that she needs from the Elementalist, since I'm going to be dealing 6 damage to this guy by pulling him into the trap, and then just let him attack me a couple times. She could take it, especially with all the healing coming in, so that is the plan. Incidentally, I actually forgot about that Lurker Soldier. I was thinking, oh, he said 13 health, but a pain in the butt. No, that guy I had knocked all the way down to 3, so he's pretty close to death, but we'll get there. Let's see when everyone's going. Not till later. Good, I will use the Frost before he gets a chance to. A Horrible Glare from the Deep Terror, targeting 3 enemies, and the oozes are splitting. Well, at least I'm going to be able to get in an attack first. We will kick things off with Katie, who first is going to use Engulfing Radiance to heal everybody for 5. And then she'll use Mobilizing Axiom to give everyone, including herself, 4 movement. And so the movement, we'll start with Pinky, who can move through people. Not that it really matters. Actually, we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see. So these guys are going to be moving 3. So the question is, how much do I want that loot? Am I willing to take an attack? I am at full health, and this thing's down to 3. It'll be next to me. I can attack it next turn. So yeah, I think Katie is just going to hop on that loot to grab that. And she'll be there at the end of her turn. And then from Nilsa's standpoint, actually, Nilsa's where I want her to be. So I will keep her there. I guess I give myself a little bit more flexibility. Yeah, because she can still move to the stairs, so that's the key thing. She needs to be able to get on the stairs, which requires an extra point of movement. She'll be able to do that. She also needs to be within 2 of the Elementalist, so we can move on to the next turn. Alright, so now the Elementalist is up, and I have a lot of options with Formless Power. I have a few different elements to work with. I can pretty much target any enemy on the board, but I think what I want to do is target this guy, because that's the guy I need to kill. Those guys are the biggest pain. So what I'm going to do, first I'll do my movement, which is just going to be 1, 2, 3. Then I'll go ahead and consume the Frost to give Nilsa 2 retaliate. Then I can go ahead and I'll definitely consume the fire. And, well, do I want to consume the light? I'm probably not going to kill it. I don't think the extra damage is going to make that big a difference. So I'll just leave it with that. It'll be a 4 attack. And that is going to be +1, so 5 damage, brings it down to 2. Last but not least, I will regenerate the Frost, which I think maybe I forgot to do earlier, or maybe I didn't. I don't remember, but doesn't matter now. That is going to do it for Pinky. Now we'll go ahead with Nilsa, who once again is going to do that terribly taboo thing of attacking an enemy. This time, once again, using Unbridled Power to attack the Ooze. Just a straight-up melee attack. And this will be a 3 attack, hopefully better than some of our earlier attacks. It is going to be, no, not better, a miss. Try to make things a little bit more effective for the rest of the action, which is going to be from the brink. So 1, 2, 3 onto the stairs, and then I can go ahead and do a pull 1, which is going to pull this guy into the trap. Will take 6 damage and be immobilized. Not that that really matters for them. I'll then end my turn by go ahead and taunt it. I will have the Deep Terror attack. It is going to be a 5 attack. Will not be a disadvantage, so just straight up gonna have to deal with it. Alright, so it's gonna be 6 damage, and it is going to heal itself 1, which will put it up to 4. The Retaliate will knock it down to 2, and Nilsa will go from 14 down to 8. She will, however, then get to heal 1. And oops, I can tell it's getting late, and I probably need to stop after this round, take a rest. A long rest for me, not for my characters, because I forgot about the Frost being regenerated, which means a Lurker Soldier is going to be able to go 1, 2, 3, consume the Frost to give itself advantage, and then go ahead and do its 3 attack against Katie, who does have the chainmail, does have the tower shield. Yeah, neither of which are useful against the Pierce. So never mind, but it will Well, let's see. At advantage, either a +1 or a +1 and a curse. It'll be that. So 4 damage to Katie. And she's wounded. C'est la vie. Next up are the Deep Terrors, starting with the Elite, which will do its horrible glare. It is able to target Pinky, but we will have it attack Nilsa first. This is going to be a 4 attack at disadvantage, since it is a ranged attack right next to it. So either a +2 and muddle or a -1. Yeah, so that is 3 damage, knock her down to 6 with the healing, back up to 8. She will take a curse, and then she'll deal 2 retaliate damage. Last but not least, the oozes will split, taking 2 damage, summoning their counterparts, and that will do it for round 9. The only other thing is I do need to do a short rest for Pinky. I don't think I want to take a long rest here. I have lost Shaping the Aether. No problem. I mean, it's a move 4, but I still got plenty of options. I am back, rested, ready for round 10. A couple of quick updates. Had a chance to go through the video. The Berserker, at one point, I gave her an extra heal she was not entitled to. She only gets that second heal if she's at half. She wasn't, so I knocked her down a point. For the Sunkeeper, again, I made a note that I accidentally did not put that in my lost card pile. I had it in my hand. I played it. I would have just played its alternative instead, Holy Strike, number 65. So I put that in my discard pile. That goes back to my lost pile. Wouldn't have changed anything. So, all that said, really now into the end game, as all I've got to do is finish off the Deep Terror up here. Just have to do 2 damage to it and then loot the treasure chest. So that is going to give me an opportunity to try and get some of these other coins, which now is really going to be my main focus. Take out the Lurker here. We'll see what the oozes are doing, whether or not I want to engage them or just try and keep away from them for a while. Planning on having Pinky go ahead and hopefully finish off the Deep Terror, having Katie hopefully finish off the Lurker, and then I got a couple options for what I'm going to do with Nilsa, whether or not I want to go after those oozes or just start collecting coins. So here we go. I should certainly have the option to go before the enemies, although, no, the soldier is putting up some defenses. Well, that is unfortunate. I'm probably not going to be able to kill it. Not with 3 shields. It's going to wound me, but I'm already wounded, so that doesn't really matter. Deep Terror doing a Beam of Annihilation. Hopefully I will kill that beforehand, but just in case not, I can certainly move out of the way of it. And yeah, the ooze is just attacking at range 2 and pushing people away. So this, not the turn to go after them. I probably will just focus on loot for now. Since the oozes aren't moving, and if I tried to do the whole retaliate bit, I'd only get the 1 attack in. Not worth it, so I am just going to use my movement to head up to the platform here, grab some loot, and I will also be able to heal 1. That's it for Nilsa. Next up is the Lurker Soldier, who's just getting his defensive claws out. He will wound Katie, who was already wounded, then throw up 3 shields, and that's it for them. Now Pinky can get to work using Formless Power. I will consume the light. That'll give an XP, extend the range, so I can do a range 4 attack against the Deep Terror. It'll be a 3 attack, so hopefully can take it out. That is going to be a 0, 3 damage. That is going to do the trick, so I have taken out all 6 Deep Terrors. Now I can end the scenario whenever I want, just by looting the chest. And since I no longer have to worry about getting attacked by the Deep Terror, I will start making my way towards the stairs. I will go this way, 1, 2, 3, getting me out of range of the oozes. I can head up that way, and that's going to do it for Pinky. Next up, Katie. No reason not to attack, even against 3 shields. I have a pretty good attack modifier deck, so still a chance I could get a double and kill it, or at least do a little bit of damage. It's just be a 3 attack, and +1, so 1 damage. No, and Katie will take damage at the start of her turn. Using the 4 movement, I will run over here to collect that coin. And then just the oozes, who are not going to be doing much. And by not much, I mean nothing of consequence, nobody within range to push and poison, nobody within range to attack. So that is going to do it for the round. I just need to do a short rest, or I guess I could do a long rest for Nilsa. Probably do a short rest just to keep things moving so I can keep collecting coins and then put this one to bed. I would have lost Tireless Retribution, but do want to at least have a chance if I want to do some big retaliate, so I will let this card go instead. I took the 1 damage to redraw. Not much excitement here in round 11. Again, my focus is loot, but Pinky will be able to get off an attack on an ooze, generate fire that Nilsa can use to heal. And for the enemies this round, Lurker Soldiers on the move on a 28. That'll be before Katie, so she's going to take a hit. And the oozes doing a toxic explosion at range 3 and not moving again, so I should be able to get away from them. All right, not too bad. We'll begin by using Empowering Flame, I think probably for the first time, to attack instead of granting Retaliate. It'll be a 2 attack against the normal ooze. And that is going to be Wild Generation, very nice, and another Wild Generation, so I'm going to generate 2 elements and +1 for 3 damage. Against the shield will be 2 damage. I think in this case, I'll go ahead and generate Frost and Earth to go along with the fire. I will then drop a 2 damage trap right here just to disincentivize the oozes from moving in my direction should they ever get to move. I don't even really think it matters. I do want to keep this area open in case Katie decides to run in and engage. Again, not sure I'm going to do that, but why not? Then I can move to collect this loot, and that will do it for Pinky. Nilsa will follow up and keep it nice and simple. Just going to go here to pick up loot, and then I will be able to put down my Retaliate card, heal 2. Not very exciting, but at this point, the idea of getting lots of loot and being able to spend it is definitely more exciting than running around killing enemies. I guess I could get a little bit more XP, but as I've said before, strategically, money is the way to go. The Lurker's up. I'm going to have to kill this thing at some point, but it is going to run up. It's going to go ahead and attack Katie. This will be a 3 attack with the Pierce. So once again, my shield's not doing me any good. Oh, God. All right, so that is 6 damage. And I can't lose a card because I don't have any cards in hand. I could lose 2 from the discard pile, but I'll just take the 6 damage. Now, I think if Katie weren't wounded, maybe I would just try and attack this thing, but I will have her go ahead and heal herself, also generating light, and then use the 2 movement to head down, collect some more loot, and we'll look to take that guy out next turn. Finish off the round with the oozes, who, once again, not moving, so not within range 3 of anybody, nothing to worry about. Last but not least, I will have Katie take a short rest so that she can deal with that Lurker. Katie will lose Arresting March, which, given how far away she is from her allies, not really that useful. Oh, and one other bit I forgot to mention is on Pinky's turn, might as well use the Stamina Potion at this point to get Formless Power back. I've got those elements, might as well use them to fire off an attack. So for this round, more loot, but also ramping things up a bit, some more attacks. Katie's on the prowl, going to try and take out that Lurker. I am going to go ahead and use Formless Power to do some more damage to one of the oozes and then get some more loot. And ultimately, looking to, within a few turns, position Pinky up next to the chest where they'll be able to use their loot card to kind of finish things off and collect the remaining treasure up there. So still a few turns to go. Let's see what we can maximize. Checking out the enemies, as always. Excellent. Lurker Soldier not going before me, so should be able to finish it off. And the oozes are splitting again. No movement, making themselves that much easier to potentially take out. Should I decide to do that? Let's see. Since my plan is to do a loot action from here, I'll leave that loot topside for Pinky, and I will use my jump to leap down here. Also healing 2. I guess I don't even need the jump. I could make it there with 4 movement. But I'll throw out my retaliate, which is not going to do anything, and that'll do it for Pinky. Katie's up next, hoping to put an end to this lurker once and for all. So 1, 2, 3, I guess we'll go there. And then I will go ahead and do a Holy Strike, consuming the light. So a 4 attack at advantage. There is a curse in there, so just hopefully I don't draw a curse and a miss, and I'll be good to go. Yeah, oh, and potentially I can get a card back, which I think I can actually do here, or a miss. So yeah, so -1, that's 3 damage, that's enough. And then since I did already move, I'm pretty sure this card is in my discard pile, so I can go ahead and retrieve it. Meanwhile, Katie will gain an XP and get ready to hop on some more loot next turn. Next up is the Elementalist, who will consume the Frost and Earth. Very timely, being able to produce a couple elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just in range of that ooze, so this will be a 4 attack. And thanks to the blessing they gave themselves last turn, it will be at advantage, so either a ×2, which would kill the ooze, which would be more loot, so I'm inclined to do that, or a -2. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and do 8 damage. 1 shield reduces to 7, exactly enough to kill the ooze. And I did have to be like very deliberate in kind of thinking about which cards I was getting, which cards I was holding on to, knowing that I am going to need 3 movement, 2 to go upstairs, 1 to go here. You know, it wasn't brain burning to figure this stuff out, but it does pay to kind of think a little bit ahead. You know, I know that my next turn I'm going to want to move 2, get in position here, and then so that'll be round 13, and then on round 14, just as more oozes are showing up, I will plan on finishing off the scenario. Last up, all the oozes will take 2 damage and split. The spawned enemies or summoned enemies coming closer to my people. So, you know, trying to work on this puzzle book, there's also a thing about slimes and oozes. Why do I have to go all the way out to this other location that it unlocked? It feels like there's all the slimes and oozes I need right here. Can I not collect those in my canister? I guess it has to be a certain type of ooze. In any event, I'm going to finish things off with a short rest for the Elementalist. It's not my loot card, so I can afford to lose it. Round 13, we are getting close to finishing things off. Like I said, I'm just focused on loot at this point. That said, it has been so long since we have used our tried and true combo for Nilsa to do some retaliate. So she is going to do that. Her usual combo of unbridled power and tireless retribution. She'll get a little boost and some shields from the Elementalist, who will go first, moving into position. And Katie just going to grab some loot and stare down a whole bunch of oozes. Could have had Katie go late in the round to potentially not take damage from the oozes if they're not moving again, but I don't want them stepping on my loot, so I want to make sure I go ahead of them. Let's see what they're doing. A Toxic Explosion, so yeah, I'm going to be walking right into that one. 3 attacks. We'll have to decide, not to mention, well, extra target that they can't get. We'll have to decide just how worth it that loot is. Here in the penultimate round, we will have Pinky kick things off by using a couple of movement to go over here, and then just in range to be able to use Gravel Guard to give Pinky 2 movement, which will then allow her to muddle both of these enemies, also give her shield, and generate some earth, and that's it for Pinky. If I had my loot card and could loot all of the coins I stand to get from this, I would certainly do so. Since I can't, I am going to just focus on one of the enemies. I will use my 3 movement to hop onto this coin. Now I've got 4 retaliate. I will go ahead and taunt and have the elite attack. So this is going to be a 4 attack at disadvantage. It will give poison, so either a -1 or a 0 and a wound. So -1 is going to be 3 damage, and then that'll bring her down to 9, and then from her special ability, which has just been, again, incredibly useful. I can't believe I didn't use this the first game I played with her. This is a must-have for the Retalzerker. She will heal just 1 because she's above half, and get rid of the poison. And she does have a shield from the Gravel Guard, so it's only 2 damage. Next up is Katie, and it doesn't really bother me that I've got a bunch of attacks incoming. I have plenty of cards I can lose if need be, so I'll just go ahead, move on to here, and the attacks will be at disadvantage. So she will then use Righteous Strength to generate light, and well, that's actually going to be it, because there are no allies nearby. Now the oozes are up, and I will go ahead and do them in the proper order. So they're attacking at range 3. Elementalist safely out of range, even though they will consume the earth to gain additional targets. Not going to be able to hit multiple targets. The Elite will go first. It is going to be a 4 attack. It is muddled, so disadvantage is going to be +1, so 5 damage. Shield is 4. That'll knock Katie down to 6. And then she will heal the poison, heal back up to 7, and kill this guy with Retaliate. And I believe in 2nd edition, enemies can spawn on top of loot, so that's unfortunate. Even though I've managed to kill that enemy, I'm not going to be able to loot it, so yeah. Well, maybe there's something I can come up with. We shall see, but I do have to take that damage and deal with the 2nd attack. Alright, so now just doing it in order, this guy would actually attack last, so 3 of these are within range 3, so 3 attacks incoming against Katie. First one, and these are at disadvantage from the card she played, so first one is going to be a miss, though it will poison her. Next one's going to be a 3 attack, and that is going to be, well, it's going to be poison, which she's already got, +1 from the poison already on there, so she will take 4 damage. In this case, I will finally use the tower shield, so she only takes 2. And then the 3rd attack is going to be just a +1, so 5 damage. Last but not least, the attack against Nilsa, and a crazy situation. I have not reshuffled yet. I'm not sure how this works, but it's either, I'm going to assume that I have to reshuffle at this point. I've never actually had this situation come up where I ran out of the attack deck in the middle of an attack, so be curious to know how I'm supposed to resolve this. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to leave aside, I reshuffled everything but the 1 card that's still being resolved, so either a +1 or a -1, so that is going to be 2 damage. She's got the shield, knock her down to 7, and she's poisoned. Again, get rid of the poison, heal back up to 8. Last bit is Nilsa is going to take a short rest as she's out of cards, and Sunkeeper actually has 3 cards in her discard pile, but in case she takes a lot of damage, I want to be able to prevent that damage, so I will take a short rest just to get 2 of those cards into my hand as fodder, and these are the cards that I'm losing. Round 14, a couple of new oozes have spawned, and this is going to be where I end things. Pinky will be going ahead and looting, also able to throw off an attack, get a little bit more XP. Nilsa wants that treasure, so is going to be pushing the ooze out of the way. Don't really care if I kill it or not. Don't think I'm going to kill it. It's at 12 health, but I do want to get that treasure. And Katie also has her eyes on some treasure all the way up in the corner, right where I am over here. And she may take some attacks, but she's got a bunch of cards in hand to fend those off. So let's just see what the oozes are doing in the final round. It is going to be... they're going to be splitting. Excellent. Well, there's 7 of them, so I guess only 3 of them will split, but they'll all take damage, but it won't really matter as I can finish things off. Nilsa will start by attacking the Elite Ooze. And with that unbridled power, a 3 attack, so just 2 damage, but more importantly, I can push him out of the way over here. which of course you cannot see. I pushed him over here, and then I will go ahead and use my movement, heal, and claim one more piece of treasure. That's her turn. Next up is Katie, who's just going to use her 5 movement burn card, as I've done many times at this point, to get some late XP and also loot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just enough to pick that up, and 2 more XP. Then, sure, she'll go ahead and heal herself, but she'll keep the light available for the Elementalist. Actually, check that. She'll spend the light because it'll give her an XP, and she doesn't need to save it because she's also generating light from her other card, which, that one, the Elementalist will be able to use. Speaking of which, consuming the light to do Formless Power, and we'll target the non-elite, which is at a little bit, it's at 7 health. See what happens. Base 3 attack, Wild Element Generation, and at times 2. Wow, look at that. 6 damage with the shield is going to be 5 damage, which is going to knock that ooze down to 2, and I'm happy to be able to say that he will die. Not that it really matters, but I don't know, Pinky feels good about it. Then generate some Fire and Frost, because why not? And of course, the element generation comes from the other card, which also allows Pinky to heal back up to full, but most importantly, to loot these 2 coins, to grab the scepter, which is the whole reason we came here for, and that's going to do it. Yeah, the oozes will split. I don't think we need to bother with that. And that is going to do it. So we have retrieved the scepter, and the voice has spoken to us and has warned us that, hey, that scepter was not made to have anything to do with this prison. It was to deal with some other greater threat, and it is very threatened by this scepter. It is warning us. It says it'll help us, but not if we bring the scepter to it. I don't know. We've got it pretty frightened. We can head up to the realm of the voice and see what happens. That is a question for a future, though, spoiler alert, that is probably what I'll end up doing. However, that is going to do it for another successful scenario, and time to see how everybody did. So now just running through the characters, starting with Katie, the Valrath Sunkeeper. She managed to pick up 25 XP and 24 gold. Did not complete her battle goal, decided to give that one up in favor of just making sure I wasn't taking too much damage. So, you know, she's in pretty good shape, ways from a level up, but 42 gold, I could potentially pick up another item for her. Pinky, the Savas Elementalist, picked up 24 XP and 24 gold, and I'm making a creative decision here to fudge things a little bit. That should put Pinky at 209 XP, which is 1 short of a level. Had I realized that, I certainly could have extended things last game. Instead of looting in the final round, I could have just burned a card to gain 2 XP. Looted the following round, I would have picked up some extra loot, probably at least from one of the other characters. Not going to give myself any loot, but I am going to give the XP just because otherwise I'm in a situation where when you're this short of a level, you level up, you get your new card, and you basically get to experience that level once, possibly, before you level up again. So this way, I'll be able to have at least a couple scenarios at level 5. So I am going to go ahead and give myself that extra XP, and pretty good chance that somewhere along the line, I just forgot to give Pinky an XP. Anyway, did manage to complete the battle goal, which gives a series of check marks. So Pinky will be getting 2 perks, a new card, is up to 63 gold, and I do think I'm going to hold out, try and get up to 75, bring Steely Dan back into the mix, the Steel Golem, so that I can have some extra attack out there. Moving through my attack deck, I did feel a bit of the pinch of not generating enough elements this past game. So being able to increase that a bit, and I have cards that can do it too, but hey, so much the better if I can get an ally who can attack to do it as well. Finally, we've got Nilsa Needheart, the Inox Berserker, who only picked up 20 XP, 8 from card play, very low for her, 12 from the scenario, but more importantly, 28 gold, gets her up to 71. That puts her, cost 60 to get the enhancement, which I'm definitely going to do, and yeah, I think she's going to be selfish again, probably, when we get to the city phase, and instead of donating to the Great Oak, I can get her a stamina potion. But we'll see. Again, I'll do the city phase next video, or maybe the video after that. She did complete her battle goal and picked up a perk for completing her mastery. That's going to do it for another episode of Solo Strategic Playthroughs, Gloomhaven 2nd Edition. Again, really appreciate everyone who stuck around this long. Give me a like. By all means, put some stuff in the comments. Any thoughts you have, anything you caught that I did wrong. There were a couple of rules questions I wasn't positive about, so if you have the answers to those, let me know. Coming up next, it won't be too long before I start doing my next video. In fact, I realize now that I'm level 5, I may have Katie do the Sunkeeper solo scenario. Should be able to turn that around pretty quick, and then we'll continue on with the voice storyline and see what happens there. But, as always, until next time, and thanks for watching.